I think those ones are over there.
Just turn them
Oh.
off.
There we go. Meeting time.
All right, so everyone, welcome to our first meeting of the spring semester. As you can tell, there's not a lot of people here because we did forget to announce it. There's no one new here yet. Sean coming later?
Oh yeah, he said he was going to.
He said he was coming. Otherwise, no new people today. Announcements, we did finish 5th in NSA Codebreaker this year. Go find them. So, big thank you to everyone who participated. Zach Elia.
Congratulations.
Finished it like a month in, and then we kind of stayed pretty up there. And then our next meeting topic is going to be SQL injection. This meeting, Aaron wanted to get some ideas from everyone on what we should cover because we're going to do web-based stuff this semester primarily, which is not something we've done in like 2 years at least. So we're just going to scrape everyone's brains and then have content.
Yeah. Do we have any news?
Here's us being number 5 in Codebreaker.
Really, we were 4th because, you know, like Washington just kind of farmed answers.
Yeah, they didn't even solve as 6A.
They didn't even have a Zach Elia.
They got to 5 though. They got quite a few people with 5. I think that's what really did it. They had like 10 solves with 5 after that. That was all like in one night, so it means
They were going out as a group.
Pretty much we did too.
Look at North Georgia, Jesus Christ.
30. Yeah. I think they just started giving out answers.
Yep. They had a whole script that you would just give it the file and it would spit out everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
I talked to the guy.
It's insane.
Test 7, 30 solves. The closest
They
one was 2.
didn't want to lose.
They said last year they got like 3rd and they were personally offended by that and they went hardcore this year.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that next year.
We should attack our
Maybe not.
competitors. You can still participate in Codebreaker.
Yeah, the servers are
But
still
just
up,
without
so you can
points.
get the answers out of the server still if you want to see if you're close to solving a challenge, but you won't get points for it. But
It's
if you,
still fun.
It's still fun.
Zach has a really good write-up of everything on his GitHub.
No
Yeah.
need to, so I can murder
Find
success.
Zach on GitHub. He is a UC student and nothing
Zach
else.
Elia would like to know your location.
Okay. You have the news?
Cliff has the news.
Cliff has the news.
Okay.
Cliff has the news.
Cliff, what's the news?
Ooh, news.
Alright, so here's the news. So, I think it was yesterday or today there was a patch for Windows, and that patch was prompted by a press release from the NSA, and they were talking about a vulnerability that they were finally releasing, or they're telling Microsoft about, having to do with certificates and how pretty much anything can be signed as far as Windows is concerned. It uses elliptic curve cryptography, which is pretty much implemented everywhere. If you want to go into the math of it, there are links on this slide. If not, yeah. But anyway, so pretty much anything that uses SSL or TLS was affected, but only for Windows machines. And so pretty much anything you sent to a machine could look like it came from a legitimate source. The big thing was you could run code and have it look like it was signed by a legitimate source by signing it with a spoofed certificate. And that patch went out last night or yesterday, so you guys should all update Windows.
I think it was something like 900 million machines were vulnerable.
Yeah, pretty much like all Windows, yeah.
That makes me oops.
So that's patched now, update. So, Citrix. This was kind of interesting. Big takeaways, it was given an NVD score of 9.8 out of 10, which is rated a critical. Not quite Eternal Blue critical, but it was pretty bad. You could just launch code on a server that was running this, or a device that was running either one of these. It was just a directory traversal attack that ended up also calling a pro function on whatever file you visited. So if you change the contents of that file through a different vulnerability, you could actually just get remote code execution, which a lot of people decided to do. Unfortunately, the patches aren't coming out until 5 days from now at the earliest. And so there are people actively exploiting this in the wild, and with anything that's facing the public internet, it's getting hit. It was affected most of the recent versions of both of these products, and it was given the nickname Shitrix, so people are having fun with it a little bit.
Is it Shitrix or Citrix?
It was given the nickname Shitrix,
Good.
but it affects Citrix products.
Gotcha.
That's it.
Alright.
Also, Windows 7 is dead.
Yay.
Oh yeah.
Finally.
So it's Python too.
I saw a Windows 7 book in the clearance section of Half Price Books the other day, and I was like, Alright, today's meeting is really lax. As the first meeting back, I really wanted to just get a feel for the room and see what people wanted to do this semester. So like Chris said, we're probably going to focus on web security because we haven't done that in a really long time. The only thing I have right now is to just go through the OWASP top 10. It probably won't be 10 weeks long because I know some of them probably aren't a week's worth of content. So some of those might get smushed together. I've already done injection, so that's like a whole meeting that we're gonna do that I think will be fun. If anyone has any other ideas on how we should do that, feel free. I know we should do one meeting on like encryption, SSL stuff. I think Cliff thought OpenSSL would be fun to like play with. Yeah, did you say that? Chris said that.
Chris said that.
Alright, cool.
It's not fun.
So it'd be informational to play with, maybe not fun.
Okay. But yeah, I think just something cryptography based would be helpful. Depending on how quickly we blow through web security, or if we just like run out of things to talk about, I figured we'd move on to binary stuff, compilation process, linking, how all of that fun stuff works. And then since we have a decent number of freshmen who will probably be taking computer systems in the fall, figured doing assembly would be fun, just so they don't get clapped when they see that in the fall. Which then would probably transition nicely into reverse engineering / game hacking. Figured we could do Pwn Adventure, which I at least thought was fun, so if anyone has any other ideas, feel free. And then Cliff wanted to do Nmap, which I think would be fun because it's a really useful tool. And I guess it has a scripting engine underneath it.
It does. It's written in Lua.
It's Lua based.
Lua is not good.
I don't know Lua.
It's like Python, but so much worse.
Arrays start at 1.
That's what Roblox uses.
It's good.
That tells you.
But the languages remain unchanged for like 20 years, so.
That's awful.
Until Roblox added to it.
At least it's not MATLAB. But yeah, really, this is all I have for tonight. I just wanted to see what people wanted to do this semester, because I feel like in the past it's kind of been very one-sided, where we just throw content at people without any input. Ethan, is it a hand up?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I want to see. I thought we were gonna do SOC stuff this semester too.
Like defense stuff, or specifically
yeah,
SOC?
Just like a little bit of defense. SOC, because I haven't done it yet.
We can do defense stuff.
I'd love to do defense stuff.
Just add the slide while we're talking.
Yeah. Do you have any like specific defense stuff?
No, I just know that AJ SOC is like a mess, and I want to see if we can just like destroy it and start over.
It's not a
It's not a.
Yeah, it's not deployed. It's nuked.
Oh,
But we can try to redeploy it,
Yeah.
maybe.
or some version of it. I don't know if this was any good.
I would like to see it containerized. Container. What?
What?
Did someone say why?
No, I'm looking at my computer.
Oh.
Weird.
But I think if we could containerize the SOC, that'd be really cool. I know Cliff's doing like an automated deployment of that. But I got an email yesterday, 2 days ago, from a EE. He is taking a eCTF, which I guess they have an FPGA with a hardened CPU on it or something. And he's looking for people who are interested in kernel hardening. So we could do that. I know that's really dense. We'll throw that on here and see. Because that would at least jump us into like what is a kernel, which might be useful.
I thought it was going to be more firmware focused. Is that not the case?
I have no idea. He said he was looking for basically everyone in this group. It sounds like a class. He said it was 1 to 6 credit hours depending on how involved they are, which I'm not sure. I told him to post a message in the Slack just so he can field questions from people. But basically it sounds like a bunch of hardware guys are hardening some hardware. And they need Linux people because they don't have a lot of Linux experience. So I'm not sure that's all he really said, but
Are you talking about the ECTF competition?
yes. Are you in that?
I am in that.
Can you?
Apparently, I'm the only one that showed up to talk about this. That's because I know the least about it.
Gotcha.
But, so what were you saying?
We're talking about potential like defense stuff, and I know he wants to do Linux kernel hardening. So.
Okay, so here's the thing. From a university perspective, we have it worked out with Purdy, who is the director of the computer engineering department.
Is it a class?
You can get credit for it, but it's an ECE class, which if you're CS, from my understanding, you can't use. So you could possibly work out an independent study with one of the CS instructors, maybe Franco.
Gotcha.
Did you get forwarded a slide deck? You may not have.
Okay. We're all gonna see my emails. So. Or not. Oh, I didn't.
You can join.
It just flipped it. Now all I see is Big Chungus. Hello?
Hello.
That wasn't me.
Did you do it?
Oh, no. What did I do? I can't get to my email. Hello? I think he sent me a link to their website. Cause I remember scrolling through like past
So
winners.
there was a Skype call at 4 o'clock today where the competition kicked off, and that's when we got all this stuff.
Yeah, I haven't gotten anything since then. Let me see what he said. Thanks, UC.
Going back to the web stuff.
Yeah.
Did you want to cover anything like Burp Suite this semester?
Burp Suite would be fun.
That's a pretty
Do you have a Gmail?
feature rich.
Aaron J. Boyd 6. Burp Suite. But yeah, I think we could also just walk through some Kali tools to like hit on WebSec stuff.
SQL map would be a good one for that.
You can go to tools.cali.org. It'll show the categories. See if that loads faster than
Yeah.
the email.
Just trying to do Duo stuff.
There it is.
That's a lot. What's JS Duo?
said Aaron J. Boyd 6.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen a guy online use GoBuster a lot. Anything on here striking that's fancy?
Specifically related to the web stuff?
I mean, really anything. This is like, whatever you guys want to cover, we can cover this semester. So, anything you want to do, just yell it out.
Let's see. Hashcat.
Which one?
Hashcat.
Veil is a really good one. I don't know if it's still relevant, or if it's even still included or in the repos, but
Okay. What'd you say, Cliff?
check and see if Veil is still in those repos.
Veil?
VEIL.
No.
No? Okay. Might be only on GitHub.
Alright, let's see if, oh, there we go. Is there anyone here that doesn't know what a kernel is? This is fun.
You're even on the UC Wi-Fi, which makes it faster.
Yes. Basically, a kernel sits between like user space applications, like the normal stuff you interact with, and hardware. So it tells the hardware what to do. It's like that virtualization stack that we're using for RangeMaster.
Yeah.
That hypervisor sits in the kernel instead of in user space. Like VirtualBox sits in user space. So anytime your VM wants to do anything, it has to talk to VirtualBox in user space, and then VirtualBox makes a call down to the kernel, and then the kernel processes it. Yeah, this was all he sent me. But yeah, basically having that hypervisor sitting in the kernel, you just talk directly to that, so it makes it like really, really quick. Oh, it's an embedded CTF. So yeah, if this interests anyone, that's also a thing. Let me know, and I can give you Adam's email. Adam?
So I shared a folder with you on Drive that contains basically where have a bunch of the stuff, but there's
Gotcha.
a PDF on there of the slide deck they shared today. It would be 2019.
Rules or competition?
Do rules. Hold on. Yes.
Secure audio DRM. Interesting.
So, I'm not going to be a great recap of this. Hopefully, they recorded the actual Skype call in which they had this presentation, but all the information should be in this document.
Okay.
So what it is, and we need some people with a little bit of a stronger background, preferably in cyber, but it is kind of a hardware-ish project because it's embedded capture the flag. Everybody on our team either has a computer engineering background or an electrical engineering background. And what it is where the competition is that you implement basically a secure MP3 player. There are certain flags on the MP3 player they will, in the next day or so, be sharing a unsecure implementation on GitHub that you can pull and base your design off of. There's no requirement for you to base your design off of that, as long as you meet the requirements for the competition. We have until the 26th of February to find, the 26th of February is the day that the competition starts. I mean, the competition has started, but it's the day that you start gaining points if your flags have not been captured. And this competition is a little different in the fact that once you submit your design, you can't defend it.
Ooh.
So when you submit your design, that's it. Because everybody else pulls your thing, and then the rest of the competition, your job is to capture flags from other people's designs. Is there any specific questions you have? So for the independent study, currently it's a study. The instructor is Carla Purdy. She's out right at the moment because she has like a cold. But I don't believe there's a limit on the number of people we can have on our team. This is not an easy elective though. Like,
yeah.
We intend to do a lot of work on this. It's the reason that we got credit for it. So if you're looking to pad something, I wouldn't do this for credit. You're welcome to contribute if you want to. So the way it's set up on Blackboard is right now is that you can choose between 1 and 6 credit hours. So this could be a 6 credit hour course if you decided to do that. What else? There are certain rules of which you can't attack. You can't attack the bootloader that is being used to load all this stuff. Everybody in the competition has access to each other's source code. So it's not like there's like an emphasis on not obfuscating. Like if you're doing security, to do it in a way that like people know what you're doing. Like you assume your attacker has your source code.
Sure.
There will be, if you have a familiarity with FPGAs, that's great. If not, it's not a requirement because we have several people who have a strong background in FPGAs. And there is what's called a hard processor on the board that we're using, which means that there's like a CPU on the board, and the CPU will be used for a portion of this. I believe, I could be saying this wrong, but I believe that the Linux kernel they're using is PetaLinux, and that should not be assumed to be secure. There's a lot of universities competing in this.
Mm-hmm.
Some universities like Carnegie Mellon and stuff like that. Alumni are allowed to participate on your team. It doesn't have to be students. Is there any other questions?
Not really. I might just download this PDF and
Yeah, go for it.
put a message together and drop it in the Slack to see if anyone's interested.
If you join our team, there is a Slack for the CTF.
Okay, that's perfect. Cool. Thank you. Alright. Really, that's all I have for tonight. I just wanted to see if anyone had like burning passion for something that they wanted to cover this semester. If not, we'll just proceed with WebSec stuff. If we blow through that, we'll do some binary stuff, and then Ethan will try to incorporate defense. I know, at least in my injection slides, there's a lot of mitigation stuff, so that's at least a little bit of defense.
You can also, if you want to just write message +2 on the board. Did you give them Adam's email? Did you give them any contact information? You can contact me directly if you want to know more about this.
Okay. I emailed Adam and just told him to join our Slack and post a message in there if he wanted.
Okay.
He hasn't replied. I figure he's busy,
Yeah,
but
he also is not the type of person to reply promptly, so.
gotcha. If you want to handle, or Adam, like you can handle stuff in Slack, or just let me know and I can drop a message in there.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks. Anything else? Good? Cool. I know it's a quick meeting, but wanna do updates on anything?
You do range master updates?
Sure.
Just briefly. Or lab
sure.
updates, just lab in general.
I mean, yeah, we haven't really talked about the lab in a minute. The lab got nuked in a way. For those who don't know, the way our lab's set up right now, we have 3 racks. In the center top one, we have Moz, which basically, in a nutshell, you surrender your hardware to Moz, and it will basically just install an OS and then turn it into a.
If it's happy that day, it will. You appease
Yeah.
it. If it's unhappy, it just turns off DNS for the entire network.
When it's unhappy, it's really bad. This?
I think that's.
Oh no, this is Rangemaster
Maybe
stuff.
up a folder.
Moz?
Yeah.
Moz? There you go. That's a little bit better. But yeah, in each rack we have 1 through 7. Top one in B is Moz. Basically through the iDRAC interface, it'll install Ubuntu and then turn that into a KVM pod, which in turn it will host VMs. Moz can deploy those. I think it only does Ubuntu at the moment, or like very few
Out of the
versions.
box, it only does Ubuntu and CentOS. There is, if you are a wizard of interfacing with Pixie Boot software, you can feed it new images to boot off of. We've not figured out how to do that yet because there's no documentation besides you can do this, and like this is the folder you do things in. It's not super helpful.
Wonderful. But yeah, we have Rangemaster on the side, which basically just interfaces with these KVM pods and can deploy VMs. But that's kind of how Moz works. So, where was I going with this?
I'm gonna show Moz.
I'm not connected to the VPN. So,
How much you log in?
I'm not in your VPN anymore
Why not?
because I nuked my OS. So, I can log into my desktop at home that's not on right now. RIP. Excuse me. Alright. I'm gonna show him shell.
Yeah. Thanks. Does anyone know what Rangemaster is here? Okay.
Does anyone not know where we're going?
Did anyone not receive this exact demo in the lab an hour ago?
Chris, if you wanna
Yeah.
very
So-
10,000 foot view.
Moz is super great at like taking a bunch of hardware and deploying Ubuntu with KVM on it super efficiently, but also allowing us to connect back to that hardware with SSH. It does not have a lot of management features built into it for what you do after that. It can start more nested KVM hosts on that hardware, but again, it's just Ubuntu, and then you just kind of slowly run out of resources as you start more and more machines. That's not super helpful because it's only like stock Ubuntu. So what Rangemaster does is we feed it, like at a very high level, we can feed it existing virtual machine images, and then ask it to spin up like 1,000 of it for us. It does this quite efficiently over SSH. It kind of works in tandem with Moz. We can just keep asking it for more deployments of a certain image until like it kills the service it's running on, which is kind of nice. But whereas we could. So an example of how we would use this is if we were going to do like a red team versus blue team kind of thing in our lab, we would ask it for like 20 Kali images to be deployed, and then maybe like a metasploitable image for people to run on.
Why do I have so many devices with Snap?
Why are you using Snap?
I don't know. I think it's Spotify and Slack that use Snap. I think I have VMs somewhere in here. Continues. Okay. Why are they all executable? So just a brief like run through of like I guess what Rangemaster can do. Do we have any? Oh Lord.
You have it installed. You can have Python installed.
I literally hold on.
Install Python 3.
Let me see if Abby can turn on my desktop. She said how. There's like one single button on the top.
Do you have like wake up on lamp or something like that?
She said nope, hands broken. Does not compute. Great.
Alright, meeting over.
Meeting adjourned. But yeah, over break, Chris and I, in like very short bursts of insanity, added new features to Rangemaster. You added shell.
I have the shell, and so how the code base works underneath is we basically define commands that Rangemaster can run, and then it tries to dynamically build different interfaces for that, like CLI. There's a shell for it, and we're working on the web UI. So far, those commands, like when you type them, is when they execute. That's not super great for a web app-based thing that's doing a lot of native interfacing over all kinds of interfaces, like physical interfaces. So we're adding a daemon engine to it. So when you run the web UI, it'll actually like create a queue of tasks to run as you type them out. The shell just makes that easier from the command line, which is probably the majority of what's on there so far. Hello?
Installing pip. Damn it. We're just gonna watch Machi for a second and see if it comes on. Is it on? Is it the start?
RCD2 isn't on yet.
Sick. Nice.
Alright.
Thanks, bud. This is an i3.
So we're also looking at adding firmware emulation onto this because we have direct interface with the quick emulator system that's running underneath, which is actually running on top of KVM on the Ubuntu machines. That lets you do a lot of weird things to it, like you can just give it an architecture and then memory specifications, like where RAM and ROM are on the physical device, and it will just try to run it. It's not super intuitive, but it can be done. We're also adding Docker container support, which is a little bit easier than running a piece of firmware without any devices attached to it. So
I merged your stuff in here and my DB is not good anymore. Okay. So I think many of you have seen this in the past before. Silos just basically hold machines or machine images.
do you have Docker on your machine?
I think.
You're gonna have to install docker.io real quick.
Yes, one second. Wait, range DB, that's not what I wanted.
Range.db.
Dang it. One? Or D1? Docker.io.
Yeah, docker.io. It's their weird meta package for it because they don't. There's another package called Docker that's like a GNOME snap-in.
I have no idea if this is gonna work.
It won't work if you type the wrong password.
Well, I'm on my desktop, so I forgot.
This can just kind of show off like the basic Docker awareness of it. Docker run the HTTPD. Right. Sudo.
Hello.
Sudo system control Docker start.
Wow.
Service Docker start. If you do system control, you can turn the socket on as well.
Service start?
Start Docker. Yeah.
I always flip.
Unrecognized service. Start. You did it wrong.
What?
Service Docker start.
Told you, I always flip them.
I didn't like that. You might have to reboot your desktop. Will that work?
I mean, it'll come back on.
It'll take a minute.
Do we want to do that?
No.
I thought I had Docker on here. Yeah.
Docker PS. So you have the command, but the socket's not started. So do
Am I in the Docker group? Yep.
sudo
No.
service docker.socket start. Docker tab. System control docker dot. System control docker dot. No wait. Start docker dot socket. Yeah. Let's flip this one. Yeah. Do it. Failed. Why did it fail?
I have no idea.
Remove it and reinstall it? I don't know.
I don't have. Wait, do it.
Do you have
Docker
two-
install script?
Do you have two versions installed now? There's a Docker install script in the Ansible playbook on that branch, but it's not very nice. It won't do anything other than what I just yell at you.
Which one?
Oh, it's not in there. It's in dev Docker command.
Okay.
You don't have it. You don't actually have the Docker stuff on there, so.
Do we want to shelf Docker for a minute?
Yeah.
Alright. Actually, let me get out of here. So we actually added some intelligent machine analysis when we upload. So in the past, whenever you uploaded a VM, you had to specify all this information that was really bad, and you could make it whatever you wanted, which would nuke the VM if you try to deploy it. So got a server. Okay. Not an ID. I know this isn't glamorous, but we can end the meeting.
Finish if you want.
Alright. Upload's fancy now, so might as well. Steady and 10. No? Lost and found. Virtualization. I think that's it. Uh-oh.
I use two.
Rip. Here we go. Oh yeah, it also knows how to inspect OVAs now instead of, what did we have before?
Ovas.
Uh-oh, guess FS.
We just fixed this in the lab.
Right. Does it change permissions on your?
It's like on reboot.
For anyone who inevitably will run into this problem when they.
So, a brief technical description of what's happening is it's trying to start a process, basically CH rooted through a really weird system in the kernel, into the VM and then ask it what OS it thinks it's running on. You cannot really do this if you're not running as root on the machine, but there is a way to just like set your kernel with permissions on your kernel files in such a way that it can. It doesn't freak out like this. Yeah. So you see right there, it's asking for, is that asking for device?
Yeah, it's asking for KVM. Oh, because it's not global.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So you give it the devil's number as its permissions, and then everyone can read and write to the virtualization interface, and then it's going to throw a different error after that, probably, asking for the kernel headers to be changed, because somehow those are also required. Yeah.
I don't know why.
There's only one on there.
I don't know which one it uses, so we'll just go with that. What? Oh.
You got debug run, so.
Great, we all get to stare at libguess as debug information.
So that completed successfully. It's actually putting your VM up there now.
Oh, yes. I know what we did. In the past, we specified that it was an OVA. Now it actually knows how to inspect that, like, hey, this is not just a regular machine image, it's a OVA. So now, we run machines. You can see now Debian's not as fun because it just reports back that it's, see that?
10.1.
Yeah, it's like, hey, this is 10.1. Was it lib? There we go. Let's try like an Ubuntu one because that's actually kind of fun. But yeah, basically now we have the capabilities of not needing to specify like a stupid amount of information, and we can actually specify or pull out much more information. We can also now query server capabilities. So in the past, we kind of just threw a machine at a server and said, hey, run this, and it would be like, no, I don't want it, because it either can't support that architecture or many other reasons. I know Franco gave us a really weird Metasploitable VM that when I went to deploy it,
He gave us like Ubuntu 8 Metasploitable, like the first one ever made.
Yeah.
And then of course it didn't run. And he's like, "What did you guys do?" It's like, no.
But yeah, now we actually ask the server beforehand, like, hey, what can you emulate? And if you can't emulate it, it'll kind of round robin every server until it can't find one or it does find one. So that's new. It's really, deploy actually is a little bit better. I can pull that up. What? Do I not have that alias? This would be why. So basically, to do anything with libvirt, you have to specify like a bunch of XML, which is really, really annoying. Uh-oh. I don't have any VMs. I know you can do networks. So, this is really ugly. Basically, every time you deploy a machine, you have to generate this giant domain XML, which previously we had a lot of like architecture was really hard coded to be like x86, I think. OS type. I think that's hard disk, which will never change. I need to go over that. But basically, a lot of stuff in here was hard coded to where, oh, we have bridge enabled right now. I think. Maybe not. But now that we have GuestFS able to query server capabilities, we can actually specify things that don't break. So that's really it. Should I do the shell? That's at least pretty. What's it on?
Dev daemon.
Check. There you go.
Deacon type help. That's why it's tab completion.
Yes, it does.
You can tab complete through subcommands too. On help.
Oh, that's really cool. So yeah, instead of running RangeMaster from like single commands, now we have an interactive shell. It's really, really cool. Really slick. It has tab complete.
For some things.
Also has a really pretty green horse. So,
The horse is really the most important part.
yes, it is. That's all I have for tonight. I know it was nothing cyber sexy, but at least we now know everyone's okay with websec stuff, so thanks for coming out.